I got a job that say that was good that I liked, that I could count on. I would buy a plug-in hybrid where you can plug it in, but also there's a fuel engine. And the reason for that is that the evils of the fossil fuel industry have already won. They can't be overcome at this point. It would take a species that is sentient and sapient to overcome it. But it's still nice to hear that. And I would also want motorcycle hybrids. That'd be kind of cool. Sometimes you could design it in a way that is part of a sidecar sometimes, and that'd be awesome. Because then you're like you're enjoying riding, but you're also doing it with the capacity for more cargo and people, and therefore camping trips and things like that. I would ask China to work on that, because they're in such a lead. Okay, I'm gonna tell you how to end the war in Ukraine with Russia, and you're not gonna like the answer because it's not how things are done, or it goes against what you've been working on so far, which doesn't work. Is there's such a thing called the United Nations? So bring it up with the big five that can veto things and make them except make these meetings public, like live public, and always recorded forever, accessible for people in the United Nations, but also everywhere around the world, whether they're from countries that are members or not, and definitely included in the countries that have veto power. Is prepare it in a way that's very simple and that can be translated in all languages really well, and make it put subtitles available in all the languages. Make it that you have the EU and NATO. Don't have the U.S. is a big part of what's happening there, and that they helped bring it about for years now. And same thing with Palestinians. But make the EU and NATO and whatever countries there, and some are veto powers. Say we'd like a commitment from Russia that if we don't allow the Ukraine to be in NATO, is and have some sort of NATO representative there, is we'd like Russia to totally get out under these conditions. Now, Russia has lost things, not just Ukraine, people and things. So they should get something, especially that they warned for a long time, don't do this, don't do this. And Russia kind of eventually probably have it on their conscience where the people that died on our side and their side are their fault. They should not have expanded NATO. And so make it that the commitment is there, and if it's not, then you might consider having no more veto powers. Not just remove it from Russia, but have it no country has it, and that could be part of the agreement. We would like Russia to agree to this. They can't veto this, and if we remove, uh, you know, uh, if we kind of agree to end the war on these terms, which both sides get things. So that means, Ukraine might want to not listen to, joining NATO. They might want to, get security agreements with other countries in other ways, like has been happening now. And that could be part of the agreement. But maybe it has to be with countries that are not with NATO, right? Not just, coalition of the willing. And willing, by the way, is if those terms are really nice, but really, if that was true, if there were people against war, countries, especially with veto power, that were against war, because when they think it can benefit them, they'll be for war. Then there wouldn't be all these wars, and there wouldn't be all these issues. So again, ask Jeffrey Sachs to kind of explain this to you, that Russia invading Ukraine is part a little bit of their manifest destiny, but it may not have happened if NATO didn't want to expand east, mostly at the pressure of the USA and the European Union, and so they're at fault with a lot of this. So they should give up things and compensate, Ukraine for not thinking of offering them security agreements before, but not expanding NATO like Russia's warned many times. So, for example, if China goes after Taiwan, and of course, not everybody wants this, but there are sociological forces that I've been wanting to talk to you about that explains these agreements or these conglomerates happening. And I mean, there's like authors that are fiction and nonfiction that have written about this too. Is bad times are coming. We know it as a species unconsciously, and we know we're the cause of it, and we know we can't stop ourselves because of our HSD, which you don't know about because you don't even want to have conversations about it. But we know things are getting bad, so we want to kind of get bigger to kind of protect ourselves and be one of the stronger forces during the apocalypse, kind of thing, right? Everybody kind of wants to do that instead of being human, which requires levels of sentience and sapience that can find other solutions in these things, but you can't because you can't access your brain's higher functions because of HSD. So if when China goes after Taiwan, I know Taiwan has things that people trade and export and import and economics and all this stuff is it's still going to happen. And it's not like China won't want to keep Taiwan's goods traded. It's just that when you kind of meddle with that in a way that it's almost like China wants armor because they're insecure, and then you say you can't have the armor everywhere around you, right? It's almost like you're not dealing with the right problems when you're having discussions. So in a way, like, it's going to be everybody's going to meddle with that again, and things kind of de-escalate faster because you don't have grown-ups running the United Nations. You don't have people capable of gathering these members and saying, what do we have in common? What can we honestly admit? Like, can we admit we're powerless against the fossil fuel companies as politicians? Okay. Can we admit that things are going to get worse when it comes to the shortages of water, of food, of fossil fuels or energy or other things? And then there's, of course, more and more refugees and people requiring humanitarian aid, except that we kind of come up with more excuses to block those things, even though we continue the actions to create the number of people needing humanitarian aid. Can we admit we're sick as a species? If so, what are the basic things we have in common? And don't make it about us now not wanting to give up things. Make it about our kids and grandkids and their kids and grandkids. That means us now. If we're really sentient and sapient, we have to make sacrifices. We have to give up things. We have to distribute wealth. The only war there should be right now is war of politicians that are truly public servants, and I don't know of any that I can name right now. I think that the ex-leader of New Zealand might have been one. It might be a lady in a Pacific small nation, although she wears a cross. It's hard. She seems to make sense when she speaks at the United Nations. But there's really nobody to really have the right conversations. So you need to just focus on, hey, what's good for our grandkids? Let's pretend we care about our grandkids and other people's grandkids. Make it about in 75 years. In 75 years, we must work together and achieve this. And any country that doesn't do these things that are scientifically advised to us as being the right things to do, and it should include the social sciences. You don't want kids that are well fed in 75 years, but that are a mess and that will keep fighting each other because they don't know how to maintain or create further win-win scenarios. So prove to your gods, if you think, or extraterrestrials that might be on their way if they want to protect the planet, that you are worth saving, that you care about your own species' grandchildren, and legacy, but also about the biosphere. Make it about that. And if you don't have those conversations, what's the use having an international community? You're still doing the nonsense of elite versus elite who are not that bright, who are mostly self-serving, but even when they're not, they don't understand the big concept of everything that's happening, because in part it includes the social sciences. And economics is not a social science. It's a form of mental illness that you have not acknowledged yet. So is the concept of promoting democracy when the democracy is not really measurable in your countries and you're not really experts on it and you shouldn't be talking about it. And again, I've said before, China shows signs of democratic process that is more functional than a lot of other, uh, you know, uh, countries that are defining themselves as purely democratic. And like if you don't know that the IDF is a terrorist organization, uh, but they brag they're great. If they're great, why does it take longer than 2 weeks to liberate hostages without killing so many innocent children? And of course, it's more than 2 weeks. You haven't even succeeded yet as an army. So that means, what are your true intentions? Are they really about liberating the hostages in whatever way is possible, not just through soldiers, but through mediators, conflict resolution, but also to make it that it doesn't happen again? Like you don't have those skill sets. You only have the skill sets to make people suffer, to get your revenge, and revenge builds and builds, and you are really adult children on the playground having temper tantrums and fits of anger and hatred, and that's all you're passing on to your kids because you're so busy with that. You don't have time to actually create win-win scenarios for their generations. So again, I suffer from species alienation, and it can't be cured in me because the illness is promoted from you. You suffer from a variety of human domestication syndromes that makes you unwell, that gives you forms of mental illnesses like economics that affect majorities, and it has a negative impact on you accessing the higher functions of your brain, such as being measured in incongruences, in discussions that show obvious signs of cognitive dissonance and false hope because it's based on misinformation you believe.